how's it going? So I was just talking to somebody that messaged me on Instagram, and I said that I'm so glad that we have this way of communicating because they were bipolar. They're bipolar. And I said because it's like having a mental institution outside the mental institution. And that's why I created the TikTok channel. And that's why I created my ebook, right? So people who have bipolar, borderline personality disorder, severe trauma, um, clinical depression, schizophrenia, we could all get together. I call it the cucumber crew, really, but I mean, we could all get together and we could have a platform where we could talk openly and be vulnerable without judgment. And I apologize if I'm a bit older, and I apologize if I'm yapping in the woods or if I'm tweaking in the woods or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's important. And what I do is I study. I study psychology, I study spirituality, and then I create this channel and I create this platform and I wrote that ebook so you can have something to relate to. And you could be like, wow, this person's just like me. And you could also direct message me on here. I always have my Instagram information in the comments on the side, so you could send me, follow me on Instagram and write me on Instagram or WhatsApp. So, yeah, I think it's important. And I really don't care about age. I think it's important to continue to do what I'm doing. And I apologize if I offend anybody because I'm not always the same person every day. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm frustrated. Sometimes I'm loving. Sometimes I'm an idiot, especially on Saturdays. And some people don't like that. And I apologize for that. But I probably shouldn't apologize for that, but I will. Because when you have borderline personality disorder like I do, you can't be the same person every day. You're a different person from minute to minute, second to second, hour to hour. Today at 12 o'clock, I might be suicidal. And then at 3 o'clock, I might be the happiest person in the world. And then at 5 o'clock, I might want to kill like a squirrel. I doubt it because I love squirrels and I love animals. But that's the thing, right? I also have psychopathic tendencies. So the film that I did yesterday of Me with the Hood, that's me talking about how psychopath and narcissists target women and girls. And it's a very important video to watch if you haven't watched it yet. It's scary. It's a little, it's a little offsetting, but it's important to watch. But I'm glad I created this community, and I will continue to study psychology and spirituality to create a platform of understanding, because a lot of us don't have the time, or we would rather not do the research and study psychology or spirituality because we might be too depressed, or we might just enjoy TikTok videos, or we might just enjoy listening to other people who have similar symptoms of mental illness in the DSM. Because we can't feel comfortable with doctors, or we don't really trust doctors because they didn't have the same upbringing as us. They didn't grow up in poverty. They didn't grow up with a mentally ill mother or father that were abusive and controlling. They didn't grow up feeling unloved. So whenever one of us goes to a therapist or psychiatrist or a doctor, a lot of the times we don't feel like we can be open or vulnerable or even relate to that doctor or therapist or psychiatrist because they were most likely raised with money, hence the reason why they got a doctorate, and they were most likely raised in a family that was very loving or gave them unconditional love, and that's the reason why they made it as far as they did. And what do they know about poverty? What do they know about being raised by an abusive mother or controlling an abusive father or mother, or having a terrible, terrible upbringing where you were scared of your parents, or you were scared to leave the house because you'd get beat up as soon as you did, right? I'm still very fearful of my mother and other people. I'm always terrified that I'm going to upset people. I'm always scared that I'm going to get yelled at. I talk a lot about that in the ebook. The ebook's $1. The other one's $2. If you got $1 or $2, I mean, you should really buy it. I don't need money because I live on rice and I live in the woods, and I really like popcorn. But other than rice, popcorn, and living in the woods, I don't want money. What I do really want is to spread a message. So when people watch my videos and they could relate to my videos, they could go on Amazon, information up and down on how to buy the ebook, and just read the ebook. You know, download Kindle on your cell phone, download the Kindle app on your cell phone, go to Amazon, buy the $2 ebook or the $1 ebook, and just read it. And I promise you, every person that's ever read that ebook feels more like they're less alone. They feel like somebody understands them, somebody gets them, and they could finally relate to somebody. And I think it's important for us to feel that way, especially if you have borderline personality disorder, if you're raised by an abusive or controlling parent, if your parent has a mental illness, if you grow up in poverty, if you feel like rejected, or if you feel like you're not accepted by this society. It's important to read something where somebody is there with you that has lived the same life. One of the reasons why it's so important for me to do these videos is because I lived a terrible life. I still do. You know, like, I had to leave the house because I was feeling so depressed and so something was wrong. So I came into the woods. But that's the problem when you have hypervigilance, severe trauma, BPD, bipolar, clinical depression. You never feel right. When you're raised in abuse, you never feel right. When you're raised in poverty and you were always rejected and you were never accepted in childhood, you never feel quite right. You always feel like you don't fit in, or you always feel like you're not good enough. And it's a terrible feeling. And the reason why I wrote that ebook, and I would love people to read that ebook, is so they could read it and feel like they're not alone anymore. And that is, every single person that has read that ebook has reached out to me and contacted me on WhatsApp or Instagram or direct messaged me on TikTok. And they always say that they love it and they feel less alone. And a lot of them, I'd say 9 out of 10 people that read that book tell me it doesn't even feel like I was writing about myself, I was writing about them. So when they were reading my ebook, it felt as if they were reading their own journal entries in their own journal. So that's the power that true connection has when you're raised a similar way. When you feel unloved, when you feel like you're not getting enough attention, when you feel like your attachment and you're being neglected severely and your attachment needs weren't met in childhood or in the womb. Most of us feel like our parents didn't even want us. Most of us feel like we shouldn't even have been born. Like, why the hell did our parents even have us? Okay? And that is what these videos are about for the most part, and that's what my ebook is about. So please buy the ebook, Above and Below. And don't worry about money. Like, I don't need money. And your parents could even buy you that ebook. I mean, it's called, Why Are You Looking at My Grandmother That Way? I mean, it's silly. And, you know, the way you could get your parents to buy it is just say, like, hey, Mom, I'm following this person on TikTok. He's silly and he's an idiot and he's really funny, and I want to buy his ebook. And then show him your laptop and have it pulled up on Amazon, and it's a bunch of teenagers hanging out in a truck, which is my nephew and 2 of his best friends. And my nephew is the black person, by the way. Score. And it says, why are you looking at my grandmother that way? And when your parents see that, they're going to be like, it's idiotic. It's $2? Yeah, sure, buy it. $2. And what's $2 if you could feel like you can feel loved and like you could finally relate to somebody and you're not alone anymore? That's a good deal. It's cheaper than a Mountain Dew or a Starbucks coffee. So, yeah, buy the book. If you feel like nobody understands you and you don't feel accepted or rejected, or if you feel alone, it'll make you happy. Someone who wrote to me last week and they said I'm on chapter 6 and I've already cried and I've already laughed, and I absolutely love this book. So, yeah, do it for yourself for once. I know a lot of us don't like doing things for ourselves. I always neglect myself. I always put people before me. Always. And I need to stop doing that. And I hope you are in the process of not doing that either. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.